the powers of speed. Early on in this race.
Approaching the halfway point of the season for the Spec-5 World Tour takes us to famous Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands, here on a slightly shorter layout, the national layout. As Spec-5 World Tour gets ready to go racing. It's the iRacing League for super competitive but super respectful close MX5 racing. This definitely looks like some weather today that's blowing in off of the North Sea. And this is the shorter layout of Zandvoort at just 2.8 kilometers, 1.75 miles. It's a quick little lap around here on an extra short layout. The drivers are going to get into qualifying and then get into this 45-minute race. Delighted to have you on HJBC, David Haynes, today with Alex Albert and Michael Derby. How are we feeling?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, David.
Fantastico. So the green flag is waving on qualifying right now. The drivers get 15 minutes or 4 laps. And as we've just talked about, sub 3 kilometer layout around here, the modern Zandvoort. You are going to get 4 laps done in a mighty hurry, I suspect.
Yeah, what a great layout. And initially I wasn't a big fan of the changes to the circuit, but you know, I have to say that I do like them. And then, you know, with this national circuit, it's going to be quick laps and hot and heavy tonight, I think.
Looking at Lincoln Fox right now, getting into this new updated banked section of the track, and it is very short track dirt speedway there. You're going, yeah, okay, how about all the way on the high line up against the wall, trying to find some grip the long way around the outside to carry momentum and carry grip. And then this is the national layout right here, where you make this hairpin shortcut around. Spec-5 World Tour has 2 divisions of drivers. So we have Pro Class drivers, Open Class drivers, Lincoln Fox Pro Class driver. That was Charles Vaccaro's car. This is Alex Harrison. So we'll keep an eye on how Pro is going, how Open is going. Alex Harrison was super close to grabbing a win in this category earlier in the season at Fuji. We'll see how Zandvoort National treats him.
Yeah, good to see Alex Harrison there getting a good run, coming on the back of a top 5 finish at the Champ Car National Championship earlier this month. So shout out to him.
Now, my live timing has this national layout as just a pitiful 2 sectors. But if you want to see some live timing, you can go to hjbc.live. So if you've got a friend, a teammate, whoever you're trying to follow along with, that can be the way. Ronnie Coates, kind of the form driver at the moment, and he has the red numbers as he's the championship leader to this point. And very, very close to taking the win a week ago, but I do believe he was just pipped by Camden Hibbett, but that second place did no harm to the championship lead Ronnie Coates was already holding on to. Some of the first flying laps are coming in now, so the timing column begins to update with Michael Chase from Ronnie Coates from Sean Hayes. Short lap, cold conditions, tyres will continue to build temperature. We're a long way away from them really hitting their peak.
Yeah, with the shorter laps, David, we're thinking maybe lap 3 or 4 when we see our best laps.
Definitely a chance that it happens later on. Greg Mack, he's got the O in front of his name. He's got the blue underneath the position. This is an Open Class driver. Orlando Herrell's currently the 3rd best placed Open Class driver, then Greg Mack, then Alex Harrison. So we'll see again how they go, all of them throughout this session. But the fastest lap time at the moment is 1:20. So they are zipping around the national layout and continuing to all get quicker.
Yeah, it's kind of sad though that the national layout misses the very thrilling up and downhill section, but it is quite blind and dangerous, so it's maybe for the best.
You're disappointed by the absence of Schreivlach and Schlottermeyer-Bocht, and of course the famous Bocht 9.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Well said by you.
It's okay because we've still got Hans Ersbocht, Ari
Whoa,
Luyendijk.
here we go.
Jordy's bike is off the road as he's had a wiggle in the penultimate corner. The final corner is now super extra banked. In tribute to Ari Luyendijk's great history at Indianapolis, perhaps. But they're not going to name one of them after Jordy Fike the way it's going at the moment.
No, he better be putting in a call to the Mazda rep to get another car ready for the race session here.
Michael Chase has gone to the top now so far in this qualifying session and still clearly pushing on in this lap, nearly done. And once you get the throttle open there, absolutely flat out through this banking here. It's flat out in any car. It's definitely flat out in a Mazda. Which way is Michael Chase headed? Okay, just sort of a diamond off the exit and across to the other side of the road, hitting the start-finish line once again. And then I think
Not
into his
quite.
final lap.
Yeah, not quite quick enough there to go to pole. The 31 still sitting up there on top.
So you've got your pro times, you've got your open times. Sean Hayes moves to 3rd in pro. Alex Harrison currently sits 9th outright at the top of open class. Last lap of 1:39 flat. That one.
8,000th right now at the top, 8 thousandths between the top two, so very tight.
So for open pole and for outright pole, it's super close. Eugenio Polici is fourth at the moment. He's got some green sectors for the moment. Michael Chase has got a purple opening sector of this lap, and again, you pointed out the thousandths of seconds that Michael Chase needs if he is going to take top step away from Ronnie Coates. Both of them cross the start-finish line at very similar times. Michael Chase goes to the top. Ronnie Coates' improvement is far more modest.
Yeah, almost 2/10 there on that final lap, but still a great performance by both of them, and I think it's showing signs of some great racing coming up ahead.
New driver to the league, Kirill Bonda in the pro class. First time out in Spec-5 World Tour this time around. So currently a little delayed on the qualifying program. There's no shortage of time left in this session, but you only have 4 laps that count. So there's a few drivers that maybe wait a little deeper into the session, but it's definitely the case that Michael Chase, Ronnie Coates, Michael Coates, the top of your qualifying at the moment, they're all done. There's some other drivers a little later on their program here, like Bonda, like Ray Lombardi, like Lincoln Fox, perhaps.
All right,
Bonda goes to 9th.
Yeah, down here coming out of turn 1 hairpin, getting back on the throttle. Head up here to the turn 3 complex. Little dab of the brakes, get it on the nose. This hairpin used to be much tougher before the banking. For Daniel Ricciardo, your countryman, had to get his arm bandaged. Up here to the national hairpin, very slow around here.
And when he came back, they didn't give him a significantly upgraded car.
Oh, I'd like to give a shout out to iRacing. The fog is much better than it used to be here in this Oceanside location. The fog is very nice with the new Tempest weather.
So this functions as the final corner in all reality, and then you come around to Arie Luijendijk-Bocht, and it's just a matter of hugging the yellow line down at the apron, keeping the throttle absolutely pinned, and shifting up the gears through the sequential gearbox when all the lights are on the Christmas tree. And for Kirill Bonda, still building speed as we go. I think we saw a little bit of a moment on board. The previous lap took us up to 9th. That lap doesn't appear to have netted quite as much improvement, and that might be qualifying done for Bonda. Got Ray Lombardi out. It's his home track. Ooh. And he's going to move up to 2nd.
Yeah, nice lap there by Ray.
Ray put together a pronunciation guide for all of the corners around this track, even the ones that we're not using. He is potentially the least patriotic Dutchman in the world. I had a Google, and apparently copper wire was invented by 2 Dutchmen fighting over a nickel.
Oh.
It's an unverified claim, but it's on the internet, so it simply must be true. So we've had some chopping and some changing for the top of the pro class in qualifying. And through that, we've a little neglected the open class, I think. Gareth Brocklesby has the best time there. 8th outright, within 1 second of outright pole. He's the best qualified open class driver, then ahead of Charles Vaccaro, who we saw wrapping up qualifying. And Orlando Harrell has ended up 3rd there in that category. Talked about who are the drivers who are going to be doing their 4 qualifying laps late in the 15-minute window. Well, Lincoln Fox is one of them, and in fact, at this point in time, one of just 3 drivers left out on track with 4 minutes left on the clock before we head to the racing. Fox has got 2 more flying laps, so a lot of opportunity to improve.
Yeah, I love it from a screen time aspect, right? Delay the run to a little bit later and make sure all the cameras are on you. I love it.
That's why the top supercars teams love that every race has a top 10 shootout. You get that 2 minutes, that one lap where it's just your car on screen. And I'm thinking out loud here, IndyCar should drop their Firestone Fast 6 format for a top 6 shootout.
Okay, so single laps instead of open qualifying.
Yeah, instead of having 6 cars all on track together for like 6 minutes and they chop and they change around, and then you always get confused where the timing line actually is in IndyCar qualifying. It's a good thing that the way that they do the timing line.
Mm-hmm. But NASCAR does it now sometimes too.
Yeah.
NASCAR
but again, if it was just one car,
if
it was one car you were looking at once, it'd make a whole lot of sense. Lincoln Fox crosses the line, another improvement, and still now into the 4th lap of the session. Time to complete it. Let's keep an eye on how this goes. Fox sneaks up to 7th.
Wonder if that's why NASCAR went back to the single car from the group for the sponsors. They did group qualifying for a few years after 100 years of single car.
I think every decision NASCAR's ever made is for the fans and not for the sponsors.
Oh yeah,
it's everything. It's about the integrity and the history of the competition. That's what they do. Okay, so I don't have as many mini sectors as I'd like to be keeping up with this lap from Lincoln Fox. I don't have what the first sector time was for the previous lap, but it looks to be tracking an improvement. And forward from 7th, you'd be happy to start almost anywhere forward from 7th. Once the fuel saving aspect in the race comes in, once the compulsory pit stop comes in, and I think even on this national layout, you're not short of places where you can spring a pass in these MX-5 Cup cars. So the timing line's around here somewhere, and Lincoln Fox jumps up to 5th, the last qualifying time that we are going to see in this qualifying session.
Very nice. Nice improvement there.
So there's just a minute left to the session, and then it just
Our
makes
one driver's
official
still
the
in
grid
the paddock.
that we can already see.
Yeah. Or one driver's still in the paddock with any laps remaining, and I can't imagine he could start a lap quick enough.
So do you like canals and flood protection measures?
But I enjoy the shore in a beer in a restaurant by the sea, and I think they have that in Zandvoort. So
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Do you ever look
like
at a
grapes and
lake
ice cream.
or a body of water and go, that should be land?
No.
Okay, you're not quite cut out to be a Dutchman. But by the end of this race, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, us Americans, we like to build in the swamp, but I would advise against it myself too.
Well, we can make absolutely official that this will be the grid now, as the drivers are taking to the grid for the formation lap and the rolling start, and they're taking to the grid in this order. Michael Chase on pole, Ray Lombardi alongside, then Eugenio Pollicci and Ronnie Coates on row number 2, Lincoln Fox and Michael Coates the row behind. Then you have Sean Hayes and David Barkley. Gareth Brocklesby, like we say, with that open class pole position, there he is with the O and marked in blue. Then it's Mitchell Peak, Kirill Bonda, Charles Vaccaro, Brian Jabelski, Orlando Harrell, Alex Harrison, Tom Aton, Geordie Fike, and Greg Mack as our 18 drivers. You'll notice that there are a handful of different car number colours throughout there. denoting that Orlando Herald leads the Open Class Championship at this point, and also denoting the great supporters of Spec-5 World Tour. Those with gold numbers are key supporters, and they get a lot of little perks, including extra votes when it comes time to vote on the track schedule for upcoming seasons. And at a certain amount, I think you can just, you know, like senators or whatever, with enough money you can buy one. We're rolling for the short formation lap here around Circuit Park Zandvoort, and we'll see exactly how aggressive our pace car driver can be, but this pace lap shouldn't take too long. You've got the points leader of the championship, Ronnie Coates, starting out of 4th. You've got Orlando Herald Open Class leader starting 3rd effectively in class. Tyre temperature, I think, going to be pretty critical early. We saw some of the outlaps in qualifying and practice were a challenge for tyre pressure and tyre temperature, and it's not getting any warmer.
No. No, and I have to imagine the air is very moist right now by the sea, just high humidity. Yeah, relative humidity very high.
I bet you go to the grid, you sit for like a minute, and when you pull away, you get that squeak off the brake rotors like when you park near the beach.
Uh-huh.
You let a car sit within ocean breeze range for long enough, and then it always squeaks when you take off.
Yeah. I could even imagine the windscreen in these maybe getting fogged up. They probably still have the stock air box in there so they can run the defroster if they need to.
They don't have the stock infotainment though. It's replaced by a panel that has got the fire extinguisher button on it.
Yeah, I've never got to sit in one of these. I've seen quite a few of them. They're pretty cool. The GR I'm really a big fan of, with the CAN bus button panel in it. But these cars are super cool. Zoom, zoom.
You know it. So, the official pace car speed, 65 kilometers an hour, 40.5 miles an hour around here. So, it doesn't reach any great speed, but it is about to pull in, and we're about to get racing. 45 minutes from Circuit Zandvoort National. On the pole, Michael Chase with the inside of the 2 rows. They are so packed up here, coming down the front straight, green flag waving, and we get going towards turn 1. Tarzan Bocht pulling out a line there already. Lincoln Fox taking us 3 wide to a new pit exit on this reprofiled version of Zandvoort. Everyone working their way through that little bit of extra banking there, heading towards the next banked corner. And Ray Lombardi's looking to go around the outside for the lead of the race on Michael Chase. Round the outside at turn 2 then to the inside here. He's even got a new extra patriotic livery on for this round, and Ray Lombardi leads.
Yeah, great action. Nice clean driving back through the pack. Saw some 3 wide there. Everyone's getting through nice and clean. So we're about halfway through lap 1.
So from extra gold to extra orange, King's Day can't be too far away. Ray Lombardi leads them from Michael Chase. Not too many other movements through the field here. And again, a tidy little race start. Oh, see Alex Harrison there having some troubles as he comes out of Hans Ernst Bocht. And of course, the battle for the open class is going to be pretty ferocious through this race, I think. We've got dramas in Arie Ludendyk Bocht up the road. 3 cars in the outside wall. Track half blocked. There's a massive pile up. There's now 5-6 cars in that as Pellicci, I think, spun down on the sharp banking. A few drivers have come through and collected him. Vaccaro is his own separate incident there as well, and that's what they tag. It's not Pellicci, it's Charles Vaccaro. And the cold tyres and a little bit of contact That is so messy from an 18-car field where almost 8 of them have ended up in the wall there together. We can have a couple more replays. Vaccaro is weaving around there already in the background, but it starts up here, wide and off the line from Polici. Coates, and then Coates end up in that. And Vaccaro is a whole separate thing.
Yeah, and then you see Harrison come flying through the mess late. I'm not sure if he got through clean or not.
My oh my, through all of that, Michael Chase is back to the lead of the race ahead of Ray Lombardi. Then there's a little bit of a gap, obviously. Third place went off the road, triggered a little bit of a chain reaction. So now Lincoln Fox is up to third, having worked their way through the melee. Sean Hayes, David Barkley up some spots. Gareth Brocklesby, open class leader, now up into 6th outright. Look at this weaving down the front straight here, trying to break the toe. They carry so much speed out of Arie Luyendyk box and onto the straight here, and it gives Barkley an opportunity to get to the inside on Sean Hayes. Getting a little deep, but position taken, I think.
Might get a little spicy here with some cars coming out of the pit. It's a bit tight here.
I think we're good. Gareth Brocklesby leading open class. Alex Harrison up to 2nd and rolling still. Must have lost a few others to that. 4 cars have been through pit lane. It's Eugenio Polici, Charles Vaccaro, Kirill Bonda, and Tom Aton. How is Ronnie Coates not? Is he still missing his front bumper? Oh, now he is.
Yeah, he's losing time to the leader too. Yep,
Yeah, the race lead still super close. Underneath half a second, Michael Chase from Ray Lombardi. Charles Vaccaro trying to get out of the way of Lincoln Fox, David Barkley, and Sean Hayes. Then you've got Mitchell Peaks, the next car behind, approaching at speed, having to go the long way around the outside, up high on the banking. Tom Aton's got a black flag. I don't think that's going to matter to Tom Aton. He's currently scored 18th and last at the moment. Here's Ronnie Coates back out on the track. Haven't been through the pit lane, but he's about to now go a lap down to the race leaders, Chase and Lombardi. So Barkley, having made the move on Sean Hayes for 4th place, now closing in on Lincoln Fox this lap for the podium potentially. As we run right now, this is 3rd, 4th, 5th. Brocklesby's dropped back a tiny bit from where he was. Mitchell Peak's gotten ahead. So now all change inside of the top 10.
Yeah, biggest mover right now, the 751. And that open class car just passing one of the pro class cars and starting to open up the gap here a bit on him. But I think his connection's bad.
How many ISP options are there in North Carolina? Plenty.
Well, I don't know. All the way out to the dirt road if they still have lots of choices, but
I prefer the old-fashioned way when you used to have to stick floppy disks, you know, on carrier pigeons. This is the lead. Ronnie Coates, normally you'd expect to not be surprised seeing him in 3rd place, but in fact, he is a lap down after the early incident in Arie Luyendyk's box early on in this race. Ronnie Coates now sits a lap down to the leaders, Michael Chase, Ray Lombardi. Lombardi had his very, very brief moment in the sun. But now, look at this. It is flat out for both drivers, both cars, through that banked final corner. Look at how tight they can run on the exit if they want to as well. It is not a corner of any challenge in a machine like this. There's the panel where the infotainment is, like it's like carbon fiber over the top of where the screen would normally be. Around the outside goes Ray Lombardi as Michael Chase holds the tight inside line. He gets very snugly up against that curb, and it works out well for him to hold on to the race lead still.
I think that panel might even be carbon fiber. Or is it just plastic?
I don't know. I feel like it could be. If you had to manufacture a panel to cover a gap in the dashboard, surely you can get a little bit of carbon fiber.
The GR Cups have quite a bit of 3D printed stuff. One of the sponsors that's on every car is a 3D printing company, and a lot of the brake vents and stuff are 3D printed.
So this is a little further behind. First and second remain very, very close. Lincoln Fox in third. It's all closing up here. Barkley getting close. Hayes getting close. Mitchell Peak closing in on the lot of them at the moment. So it's just 1 second here for third, fourth, fifth, sixth at the moment. Sixth was quicker than fifth, was quicker than fourth, was quicker than third last lap. So this is a real big accordion squeeze moment for Peak, who has an immense amount of speed and now looks to the inside of Sean Hayes into turn number one. Again, you've either... Yeah, you've really got to get to that apex curb, the way that the banking works in turn one, sort of the opposite to how the banking is, where it's steeper further away here in this corner, and the line up high really gets to float way more speed.
Yeah, it's very interesting the way that both lines can work through there now with the additional banking. It's really opened up the track for more side-by-side racing through that section. All right, so the pro class driver in eighth got back around the open.
Chabelski's back ahead of Harrison.
Harrison hard on the binders, thinking about buying Brian a bumper, but he didn't. Little tire
couple
difference
lines through there at Hansen Sport.
Yeah, a couple of lines in the grass where the boys were. All right. So you can see the group ahead. Yeah, I'm not sure that we're going to catch them battling, but it is more fun to watch. Love how both lines work right there.
You can kind of slide job this corner here as well now.
Yeah, you really can. It's so steep and sharp.
And to that I mean that you can sort of dive to the inside of it. If you get all the way clear, then sort of slide up high, find the grip again up high, and not be compromised on the exit, as long as you get to the correct line somewhere in the middle of the corner.
Well, and even if you are a little compromised on exit, you'll slide right in front of your competitor, and he'll have to slow down. Oh, as we see, speaking of competitors slowing down there, the 751 making a mistake there in the last sector, and Brian able to get right back by.
So those two have changed back and forth a little bit. Lead gap remains 0.3 of a second. And this is third place there remaining. Super close, super competitive. Fastest lap of the race at the moment looks like it belongs to Lombardi in second place. No, Ronnie Coates has got him pipped. On the comeback drive, Ronnie Coates has got him pipped. This is third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Again, so close as they take the hairpin on the national configuration, skipping out the far side there.
So, David, do you think maybe some of these cars are just trying to save a little fuel here? Maybe Mitchell Peak just trying to stay in line and save a little gas, make a shorter stop?
If you can't power away, that's always the strategy. But this, I don't know. I want to say this isn't the same kind of track as a Road America or whatever. Lincoln Fox is in and in early. That's a surprising one to me and demonstrates what an odd little pit entry it is here. That's sort of the racing line they were all taking. And then you just pick to the inside there, take a little bit of a chicane at super high speed, then need to slow down to the 37 mile an hour pit lane speed limit.
Yeah, quite a wide pit lane they have there. That's very nice.
It's new F1 spec, so can't wait for F1 to announce that they're coming to VIR and all the facilities you'd get out of that.
Yeah, I think just getting NASCAR there would be good enough for me. Mainly for the facility upgrades.
I'm most excited for the new baseball team in Danville, the Danville Dairy Daddies.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a great name.
It's insane. How they do that?
I figured tobacco whackers would be backy whackers or something. You know, I don't see a lot of dairy cows in the Danville area. Still see a lot of tobacco farms. So.
Do you see many robotic otters around the waterways there? Their other baseball team is the Otterbots.
Trying to think. You do cross the river there in Milton, the Dan River, and I've looked down there quite a few times, and I don't know if I've ever seen a robot. And yeah, even when I've been in downtown Danville, yeah, no, I don't think I've ever seen a robotic otter. Had to think though for a minute on that one.
They're clearly stealth robot otters, so they're there. You just haven't seen them. This is Jabalski and Harrison again. They have spent so much time side by side.
Yeah.
Forgive Jabalski for being maybe a little put out by this, because for all that we don't know where Alex Harrison is, it's worse in the driver's seat. There's actually sort of 200 milliseconds of extra delay as a spectator that smooths out some things from our perspective that aren't there from the driver's perspective. So it's typically worse as a driver.
Oh yeah, that's always thrilling to go down in the corner and not know if the guy's going to be there when you turn in or not. Really great battles up and down the field, though. My timing screen is just lit up with red boxes. Just so close everywhere. Yeah, and right here with the lead. Ray.
Look at Ronnie Coates catching them as well. So he's, I think he's going to end up finishing this race on the lead lap, because he took 8 seconds of fuel of the total 15 that he'll probably need. So he'll have a much shorter stop when he makes his second one than the race leaders in front of him will need to do. So Coates will probably end up on the lead lap out of this, but you're in an awkward little position here, closing up on the race lead with more speed than them, but knowing that you're a lap down to them.
Yeah, send
it. It always looks like they're going to pit, man, but that's just the racing line in these cars.
Can you imagine how terrible it is to be in the crew? Here he comes. Oh, never mind. Calm down. Here it. Never mind.
So David Barkley hunted down this podium spot a third, but Mitchell Peak has been hunting him down in return. They are now super close in the battle for third place and need to be wary that Lincoln Fox is still in this race. Come the end of the race, they'll be battling for this final step on the podium. Jabalski's had enough of Alex Harrison, so Brian Jabalski next to hit pit lane.
So I've been riding along with some of the drivers in today's race, and I've really been interested in this infotainment panel. The fire extinguisher button, it's a button, not the pull handle style that, you typically see in a lot of the race cars I've used. So
it's recessed deep within that red safety housing to reduce your chances of pressing it accidentally.
And I think it even has a pin that can go through it to keep you from doing it. But my wonderment is that must be electronically controlled, right? You press that button and then it activates and breaks the seal on the bottle and it goes open. But what if you don't have power? Or what if that battery goes dead? I don't know.
All I can tell is that it's a big red button, so it must be just so satisfying to push.
So anyone at home listening, go ahead and write in to HJBC at hjbclive.com and let us know your answers. Like, follow, and subscribe.
I reckon if you got on the Lifeline website, you'd find some fun stats or just spec sheets or whatever as to how some of those push-button fire extinguisher systems work. But it could even be like some gas stovetops where it doesn't need a power connection. It's literally like the act of you pushing the button or twisting the thing sets off a...
Oh, yeah, piezoelectric.
Yes! Yep.
Very much. Yeah, like the button on the starter of the barbecue.
Yep.
Or the potato gun. That's or my but yes. Anyway, David Barkley with a great run and a super close battle with Mitchell Peak.
And a not super close but at a distance battle with Lincoln Fox, whose last lap was about a 1 minute 20 flat, very similar to what Barkley is doing. So this is not a massively significant undercut happening right here, but also I don't think this early pit stop strategy has completely scrambled Fox's chance of a podium.
Do you think I guess he must have had some damage that he must have picked up there in that early kerfuffle.
It's possible. How many pet dogs do you reckon are out there called Barkley? You reckon there's a lot of pet dogs called Barkley?
I'd reckon there are. I was trying to come up with the actual number, but yeah, I'll go with a fair amount.
I reckon 0.3 dogs per American household. 1% of dogs are called Max. Therefore, several million dogs called Max. I bring this up to point out as the pressure is on here from Mitchell Peak, not happy with the pace anymore that Barkley's been doing. Going to look to the inside of turn one, Tarzan Bocht, and Mitchell Peak will swing through and up into third place. It looks to upset David Barkley just a little bit. Now Sean Hayes looks as close as ever as well. We might have the quick brown fox jump over the lazy dog.
Yeah, these top five here in the pro class, really tight battles with broken here into the two groups. It's been great to watch.
So the key now, what kind of lap times can Peak pull out of the box? A couple of other drivers have made pit stops. I note that Brian Jabelski made his stop and then made a drive-through, so either speeding or an unsafe pit exit. I don't know how you get an unsafe pit exit here, but I absolutely know how you could speed when it's 37 miles an hour.
Yeah. Have you ever got a speeding ticket, Davo?
Yes.
They have those in Australia?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get any in the United States?
Our good Colombian friend got close, though. The indicated number on the dash was quite significant when I said, when I noticed the car parked in the median up the highway, and suggested that
Maybe we back it
it
down.
was probably a police car, and it was.
Yeah, and those numbers are miles an hour, not kilometers.
Yeah, a great confusion to both of us. Well, different confusion. His confusion is perhaps the English. My confusion is the driving on that side of the road, and our shared confusion is the unit of measurement. So with our heads together, there's nothing that isn't confusing about Florida.
Yeah, I used to think driving on the other side was much harder and give you a lot of more props, but now after setting some, I think they were at least regional records in the K truck at Sebring, I'm no longer as impressed.
So the wheel-to-wheel racing remains very close throughout. We have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars pit and rejoin the race. 2 cars pit and not rejoin the race. And your top 7 out on track have not stopped yet. There's a proxy battle between Lincoln Fox and Mitchell Peak and David Barkley for the podium spot at the moment. Pace has stalled a tiny bit from Fox, and Mitchell Peak and David Barkley have had plenty going on. Alex Harrison hits the pit lane, and it's underneath a second for the lead of the race. Just believe us that Alex Harrison's in the pit lane somewhere. He's probably not going to take left-hand side tyres this round. And you have Ronnie Coates, that lap down, still just stalking the leaders, Michael Chase and Ray Lombardi.
I really love that paint job that Ray Lombardi has. Super classy.
It's new and shiny as well. So
Yeah, this is the best kind, right? Before they get all the black rubber marks on them and oil and all the other racetrack grime.
Race cars, I think, are a bit safer from UV paint damage than most road cars are, as they don't spend quite as much time, perhaps, parked on a driveway or in your front yard. A little bit more time in trailers and sheds.
Yeah, they get to sleep inside a lot more often than not.
Oh, you ever see a car and it's plainly obvious that where it's normally parked, the sun only hits one side and not the other?
Yeah.
And you're like, I know where you parked that car for the last 10 years.
Facing east.
Yes, in the shade of the house in the afternoon, but directly in the morning sun, and that's why that headlight and that paint is cracked and chipped and faded. It's a little bit going on for Ronnie Coates, as I think he thought about unlapping himself on Ray Lombardi, and then just backed out of it. He got very close and he pulled out of line with Lombardi, and then went, no, maybe not my place to do it. Maybe not a great strategy for me when I've still got to make one more pit stop. So they've just been in this sort of half a second for the lead gap for the last 20 minutes now?
Yeah, feels like every bit of it. Perhaps he's waiting for them to make the stop, just trying to ride around and save as much fuel as possible, since he is kind of fuel limited in this race and we expect needing a little bit more to get to the end.
Meanwhile, Mitchell Peak in third has broken away from David Barkley, so that's pretty key at the moment. And with a bit of lap traffic that is going to do its best to get out of the way, Michael Coates is heads up to get off the racing line. So all of that continues to work advantage. Mitchell Peak has got the car speed. Last lap quicker than Lincoln Fox. Last lap quicker than David Barkley. Peak stamping a little bit of authority potentially at the moment on third place, but there's a pit stop still to be made for all of this group of drivers, both the leaders, but also the cars you see here, Peak, Barkley, Hayes.
Yeah, I think Ray is probably in, I don't know if catbird is the catbird seat is a translation that a Dutchman would understand, but I believe he's in a great position here. He's been riding in second for so long. I'm sure lots of fuel saving, and I'm really excited to see if he can bring one home here at the home track with a little jump here on the stop with the shorter pit lane.
That would be the strategy. How many orange flares do you reckon they're going to set off if Ray can grab the win, his second win of the season? It's already a bit hazy, but it's fog off the ocean.
I don't know where they get that many flares.
In the weeks before the Dutch Grand Prix, boating and camping stores must have their shelves stripped bare of all nautical safety devices. We're not finding orange boating flares anywhere.
They're ready to pop smoke all the time. So, I was watching this battle a little farther back with the 20 and the 94, and almost had a little bit of contact there with the green and yellow car, but everyone got away with it.
Peak's advantage, not everything it used to be as we approach the end of the pit stop window. And Michael Chase comes in, Ray Lombardi carries on, so that's the split from the lead of the race. Inseparable to this point, the pit lane is going to get quite a few takers as well, so Lombardi out front. Mitchell Peak also staying out, but Michael Chase, David Barkley, Sean Hayes, all on pit lane at the moment. Left sides from Chase is a bit of a surprise to me in these very cold temperatures and only 15 minutes left to go to the checkered flag. Is this a tactical mistake or tactical genius from Chase?
Wow, I don't know. I can't imagine that you would need that, but we'll see.
It means it's go time for Ray Lombardi and Ronnie Coates as they're running one lap longer than Michael Chase. One lap at a minimum. Maybe there's even more going on there.
I don't think Battery Tender is going to be very happy with Ray covering up their mandatory sponsorship on the rear license panel.
Okay, another lap still from Ray Lombardi.
He pushed a little wide, wasn't quite able to hold as tight as he has on previous laps. Is this Lincoln Fox and Jordy Fike here that we're watching?
Fike still needs to stop though, and we know that Fox was one of the earliest pit callers, and right on cue, there goes Fike. So
here comes Peak rejoining.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting with Fox clearly ahead of Peak, clearly ahead of Barkley. So now there's just 2 drivers we're waiting on to pit. Ray Lombardi, and in a great surprise to everyone, Orlando Herald. And then when they pit, we're in the straight sprint to the end. But as far as the battle for third goes, I'd say it's looking good for Fox. And we need Michael Chase to complete the lap that he's currently on before we see if the left tire gambit has significantly hurt his outlaps and his race pace, or if it's really going to give some reward.
Yeah, we're, Barkley giving Pete quite the miracle here. He's got one more lap, out of the pits from the stop. Even sometimes if you don't change tires, just getting out of that rhythm, kind of break your stride. Looks like the 20 car is going to be able to make a move here into turn 1. Nope, going to lift and just bump him along. More important right now for the 20 to help the 58 or the 56 get back up to Lincoln Fox. If Barkley and Pete can work together, get with Fox, then each of them have a shot at the podium. But if they fight amongst themselves, they can kiss it goodbye.
So it's almost all the pit stops done. Orlando Herald's in the lane right now. Ray Lombardi's pit stop is done with a 5-second lead right now over Michael Chase. I'm not sure that this left tires thing is genius from Chase, because now with 11 minutes left, Ray Lombardi has a 5-second lead. It is shrinking, but it needs to shrink quite quickly now for anything to happen.
Yeah.
Lombardi leads.
Yeah, it looks like Chase is making it up on the second half of the lap, but maybe was he losing just a little on the first half? Yeah, definitely very even here through the first part of the lap. Chase picks up. Oh no, Lombardi. Yeah, loses just a little to Chase there. I don't know, David. Eight laps to go. Needs about a half a second every lap. At this pace, he's going to get there, but getting there and getting by, that's 2 different things.
So keep an eye on exactly what that lead gap looks like.
Yeah.
Coates still needs his second stop. And then we'll try to remain on the lead lap if he can from there. And it's going to be a quite late final stop from the championship leader.
Yeah, tough break, but, it's what you make of it. That's how championships are made sometimes, scrambling around, getting those 8th, 7th, 8th, 9th place finishes, even whenever you're used to standing on the podium on a regular occasion. Yeah, so Ray Lombardi definitely doing better on the first part of the lap, and then is losing time. It looks a little bit worse there in the last sector, and I don't know, just really doesn't make sense with the corners of, really no consequence that you can take flat. It must be that run that Chase is getting, onto that straightaway.
I wonder if Lombardi's still trying to hit some fuel saving, because I don't think that's something that Michael Chase needs to do, but it might be something that Lombardi's trying to manage.
Yeah, Lombardi with the shortest stop of any of the cars that we think can make it. His stop was only 13.7, the next closest being Lincoln Fox with a 14.5. Most of our drivers in the 16, 17s are even into the 20 seconds. So there comes Coates onto the lane.
Yeah, and Vaccaro too. So there's a few drivers making second stops at the moment. Don't know
maybe a flat?
what's happening with Michael Coates.
Yeah. Only 8 minutes to go there, but maybe those tires were just done.
Well, Vaccaro, for example, is in the same boat strategy-wise as Ronnie Coates is, in that they were both in a big lap one incident. Took on a little bit of fuel when they took their repairs at that time, but it wasn't yet within the pit window to get them all the way to the end. This is Ronnie Coates in now, hoping for a very quick and efficient splash that could keep him on the lead lap and potentially keep him inside of the top 10. No, that's not happening. But it would have been nice. Race leader Lombardi, he had a lead of 5 seconds when he exited the pit lane. It's down to 2.8 now. So it is closing.
Yeah.
Is this Lombardi managing it to a point where he can then sprint to the end? Or are we going to keep seeing 5 tenths, 6 tenths, 7 tenths being taken out of him every lap all the way to the end?
Yeah, I feel like the new tires are helping. I think it was quite the gamble. So if Chase can pull this off, I think it'll be a good move. Ray is probably going to, struggle a little bit more with the traffic, a little bit more with getting onto the gas hard out of the hairpins. It looks like
right now this is a problem. Ronnie Coates has had to let him go. Greg Mack is going to let him go. So I don't think Lombardi lost quite as much time through there as was possible. But for a moment, it was not good. Ronnie Coates had come out just in front of him, and that's a quick drive. It's going to be hard to get around if they don't let you by. And then at that same point, they're approaching Greg Mack as well. Ronnie Coates and Greg Mack for position. So Lombardi managed to get through without losing anything, but I really didn't think that's how it was going to go. I thought he was going to be in a bit of a pickle.
Sometimes you earn those moves in prior races, right, with your conduct. Maybe Ray's been kind in the past whenever he could, and maybe the favor's being returned now. But you're right, Chase was not able to give Chase at quite the rate he was previously. At this rate, he's going to be right on the bumper, but that last lap, he did not close down near as much as he had previously.
Greg Mack is straight out of the way, so no dramas on that traffic for Michael Chase. Next up is Ronnie Coates, who we know is very, very head screwed on, situationally aware. He won't be surprised if Michael Chase gets close and exactly where Michael Chase might want to pass him. So now it's down to 2 seconds. Ray Lombardi from Michael Chase. Lincoln Fox is not being caught in third. David Barkley settled into fourth with Mitchell Peak back in fifth. Gareth Brocklesby still leading open class from Alex Harrison and Orlando Herald. I'll jinx it. Alex Harrison looking a little steadier now after his pit stop. And again, he still runs second in class at the minute. He's not in class with Shabelski, but if he makes the pass, he still gets more points because it's, points on the outright, first on down, and then after that, you make the distinction pro and open class. And it's basically the driver with the most points at the end of the season, who is an open class driver, is the open class champion, rather than it being a separately scored division from the get-go, really. Lead gap's 1.5 seconds, so it closes and it continues to close. Peak got to Barkley, dropped back from Barkley. Now going to go through on David Barkley. Mitchell Peak up to fourth. Lead gap, I thought it would stabilize, but it continues to close and continues to close. And now Ronnie Coates forms a little bit of a slipstream bridge between Ray Lombardi, the leader, back to Michael Chase, third in the queue here, but second for position. It's 1.3. It's 1.2. It's closing, and Lombardi moves one way, moves the other, but Michael Chase is still helping to be towed by Ronnie Coates. We'll get out of the way of this one. We will have 3 more racing laps, and the gap is underneath a second, and Lombardi, I think, needs to save. I think he was hoping for 2 more, but it's 3 more. It's 0.6. It's half a second. It's disappearing up in orange smoke.
Oh no. There's still time. Maybe he's kept a little bit of powder dry here.
Well, I'd want to give up 1 second, 1.5 seconds of lap time now rather than on the final lap, I guess. So he might be trying to get ahead of it. And Hans Ernst Bosch, formerly the Audi S, but sponsoring a corner would be engaging in supporting sports car racing, and they don't do that anymore. Half a second, and Michael Chase is definitely in the slipstream. Out of Arie Luyendyk onto the pit straight, down towards turn 1. Still far enough back that Lombardi can make the weave, make the snake, but I think it's shortly going to be in vain. It's now 0.3 of a second. Definitely 2 more laps. No white flag displayed. The leaders are right back together. Chase has got newer tyres, he's got more fuel, and he's closed the distance.
Yeah, and quite interesting here with the, they've really pushed the pace. This might go a little farther than some of them had planned.
It's going to go farther than David Barkley planned, because he's back on the pit lane with 2 laps to go, taking on a little bit more fuel. So Mitchell Peake holds on to that 4th. Sean Hayes goes up to 5th. A couple other drivers are going to gain some positions. But the lead battle is just 2 car lengths now. A minute left on the clock, and the white flag to be displayed to our drivers next time around. It's flat out from here. Lombardi's trying to play some games if he's going to stay ahead on the final lap. He's high on the way into the corner. He's low on the way out. He moves left. He moves right. Now he runs down the inside. You can't miss the white flags. 2 different fellas waving them. Lombardi defends the inside into Tarzan Bocht. Michael Chase will be all over him. Thought about the dive into turn 3 last time around, but now he's alongside. Tucking back in line here. Is he going to go for the dive? Is he going to go for the massive slide job in the banked corner? He is, to try to take the race lead away. He goes down low. He doesn't commit all the way to it, and Ray Lombardi round the outside holds on to the race lead. That might have been Chase's best bet, but he was tentative. He kept it down low rather than bombing in. And he remains behind in 2nd place here on the final lap with 2 braking zones left to go. Alex Harrison's into the Armco, and Ray Lombardi has a 0.6 of a second lead. Touring hometown fans through Hans Ernst Bocht. Just one last opportunity. It's going to need to be a massive run through here from Chase in a big slipstream if he's going to take it away.
I don't think it's going to happen, David.
Save for a coffin splutter from Ray Lombardi. I think he's on the way home, but don't count it out. Is that what it is? It is a coffin, a splutter, round the outside of what should be a flat-out corner. Michael Chase goes ahead. Ray Lombardi will be having his hands in his head and crying. He's run out of fuel. 200 meters from the finish line, and at the final corner to the checkered flag, the win has not just slipped through his fingers, but the cruel hand of fate has wrenched it away from him. Mitchell Peake will be 3rd, almost half a minute back here. I think he might have some fuel problems as well. And Sean Hayes in 4th. No skill issue, just a problem of the fuel pickup in the banked right-hander. I wondered if a banked left-hander wouldn't have helped him better. Sometimes it's like that. The car tilting one way and it just doesn't want to pick up the fuel feed. This will be a big points pickup for Gareth Brocklesby. as he takes 5th outright on his way to win the open class. So elsewhere in the open class, this is Alex Harrison's last lap dramas at Lincoln Foxes. So that's the white flag, right? And I think Fox just runs out of fuel.
Yep.
Unless that was the checkered flag.
No, he said in the chat that he ran out of fuel.
So it was elsewhere and separately behind Jabelski and in front of Vaccaro. Alex Harrison runs it out wide, tags the tyre barrier just on the far side of the curb there, and does himself just a little bit of mischief that in the end apparently somehow only costs him 1 spot. That's Orlando Herald behind an undamaged car who's not able to catch before the checkered flag. So damage fine, running out of fuel bad is the lesson today. Alex Harrison might have done both. This is the result at the end of a topsy-turvy race from Zandvoort. Michael Chase wins. Ray Lombardi coughs, splutters, limps to 2nd place. Mitchell Peak in 3rd. Then Sean Hayes, Gareth Brocklesby, big points haul again with that 5th outright open class win. A chunk of cars between him and his nearest competitors there as well, because it was David Barkley, Geordie Fike, Brian Chapelski, 6th, 7th, 8th from Pro Class, then Alex Harrison and Orlando Herald in open class. Lincoln Fox running out of fuel on the final lap, being classified 11th. Then Ronnie Coates, Greg Mack, Kirill Bonda, Charles Vaccaro, Michael Coates, Eugenio Polici, and Tom Athon. A lot of casualties from the double pile-up in Aurelian-Deichbocht on the opening lap. And there is not going to be a sadder man in the Netherlands than Ray Lombardi.
Yeah, for sure. I was hoping he was going to get one there on the home soil, but just didn't work out. The math just wasn't on his side tonight.
He's had his miracle win this season already, though, at Road Atlanta, so it would be greedy to ask for a second. Though he was there, and he'll just be ruining that strategy, because I think he had the pace. If he'd taken 1 second more of fuel, he'd have come out of the pit lane with a 4-second lead that he probably could defend, rather than the 5-second lead that he couldn't. The power of hindsight is always so strong, but the racing is close in Spec-5 World Tour, and there's always that will they, won't they, what gamble will they take on the strategy. And he took a big gamble on the strategy, looking for glory, came up just short. So Michael Chase ends up being the Pro Class winner. And he joins us now. Congratulations on the win. Congratulations on the race. When did you realize you were winning that?
Well, honestly, I figured I wouldn't be able to catch Ray. I was surprised to see him slowing down in the last corner, and I knew that at that point I had him. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure maybe we would have had a photo finish at best.
How quickly can you hire security to get you out of this country alive?
Yeah, exactly. He's coming for me, I'm sure. It's exciting to finally get a win in this group, and but bummer to see that there were some incidents early on that kind of broke us away. So that was tough to see.
Always two sides to the strategy coin. Obviously, Ray decided, I'm going to cut this fuel margin very, very fine. I'm going to try to be quick through the lane, and he came out ahead of you, whereas you pitted a little earlier. I think we saw you go for some left tires. I don't know if that was 1 or 2 tires, and then I think with that you clearly took a little more fuel than him. So it's the 2 different approaches converging right at the end, and yours comes out on top.
Yeah, thanks. That left front tire was completely a mess, and so I didn't really have a choice. I don't think I would have been able to defend even the position I was in if I hadn't taken tires. So that was kind of a no-brainer for me.
Well, congrats. A winner here at Zandvoort, and in very exciting and dramatic fashion as well.
All righty, thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Michael Chase, winner of Pro Class. Gareth Brocklesby was the winner of Open Class, but I do not see him around. I shudder to think what time in the morning it is in the UK, where he is from, so maybe he doesn't feel like chatting with us.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I will save us all the indignity of me trying to imitate his northern accent. It is interesting and distinctive, but we are not going to hear it today on HJBC, unfortunately. But again, that is a really solid result for him in the Open Class, as he grabs 5th outright and a big chunk of points to go with it. You see Orlando Herald with the blue numbers. It's the championship leader in Open Class coming into this round, and he gets 3rd in that division some way back. So that will keep him on his toes. We hope you'll join us in a week's time when we bring you the next round of Spec-5 World Tour. And we've also got more iRacing and sim racing on HJBC this weekend as well. So like, follow, subscribe, whatever they say. Stick with us for all of that as well. And congratulations go to both class winners, Michael Chase and Gareth Brocklesby, from round 6 of the Spec-5 World Tour from Zandvoort. David Haynes with Alex Albert and Michael Derby. We'll see you next time.